If you search for the tools a creative marketing strategist actually runs in 2026, you're probably staring at a list of 11 names with no idea which ones overlap. You've got 3 ad accounts open, a fatigue alert buried in one of them, and no single place telling you which creative is actually working. By the end of this, you'll know the 5 tools that cover this job without doubling up on each other. A 2026 roundup citing Salesforce and HubSpot data says 87% of marketers now use generative AI in at least one workflow, up from 51% in 2024, and 71% use it specifically to produce ad copy and creative variants. Which means your media plan already runs on machine-made variants, and somebody still has to judge them. This list runs on 5 jobs: intelligence, research, testing, generation, and reporting. And it starts with intelligence, because you can't research, test, or generate anything worth shipping until you know what already worked. Segwise is a creative intelligence platform you use when you want to know which specific parts of your ads are driving installs or ROAS, not just which campaign is. Its multimodal AI tags every element in a creative: hooks, CTAs, characters, on-screen text, background music, emotion, pacing across video, audio, image, and text. And it's the only platform that also tags playable ads, which matters if you're running mobile gaming UA. On top of that sits an always-on creative strategy agent, an AI chat with full context on your account, so you can ask which hook style drove the most installs last month and get an answer instead of building a report. It unifies data from over 15 networks and MMPs, and it generates new creatives grounded in your winning patterns rather than a generic prompt. As item 1 on this list, it's built to cover the full loop, seeing what worked and acting on it, rather than owning one slice of it. Foreplay is a swipe file and brief tool you use when you want to turn scattered inspiration into a structured brief your team can actually build from. You clip a competitor or inspiration ad, tag it, cluster the patterns you're seeing, and its brief builder turns that into something an editor can execute without guessing. It owns the research and briefing job outright, and it pairs naturally with an intelligence layer because it organizes what to try. It doesn't measure whether any of it worked. For a strategist who already has segwise telling them what's driving results, that split works fine. Foreplay just needs to feed it ideas. For a team with no intelligence layer at all, that gap means the briefs might be well organized and still untested against reality. It's the right fit when you spend real time on competitor research and want briefs to stop living in scattered docs instead of a shared board. Once the brief exists and gets built, the next question is which version of it actually wins. And that's a testing problem, not a research one. Marpipe is a multivariate testing tool you use when you want to prove which specific element in an ad, a headline, an image, a color, actually move the number instead of eyeballing it. It automates multivariate testing so you can isolate variables properly, and it's expanded into catalog and dynamic product ad automation for DTC brands running large catalogs. It owns rigor in the testing phase, the part of the loop most native ad platforms handle loosely at best. The trade is that its testing focus is narrower than a full intelligence platform. For a strategist who just needs to know which variant caused the lift, that's exactly the job. For someone who also wants tagging and generation built on top of those results, that's not what Marpipe does, and it isn't trying to. It's the right call when you want proof of causation rather than a guess dressed up as a decision. Testing tells you which variant won. Getting more variants into the pipeline in the first place is a production problem. AdCreative.ai is a bulk ad generation tool you use when you need a lot of ad variations fast, and a scored starting point to hand your editors. You feed it brand inputs and it produces batches of ad variations with a conversion score attached, plus brand asset management to keep the output on brand. It owns the volume side of production, filling the top of the funnel so a strategist can refine and test the promising ones instead of starting from a blank page. The output is a starting point, not a finished campaign, and its reviews on Capterra skew mixed. For a team that just needs raw variant volume to feed into testing, that's fine. The refinement happens after. For a team expecting ship-ready ads straight out of generation, that's the part that still needs real direction. It's the right pick when you need many variations fast and a scored place to start editing from. Once the variance exists and testing picks the winners, somebody still has to tell the story of what happened. And that's reporting. Superads is a creative reporting tool you use when you want clean, shareable dashboards across Meta, TikTok, and LinkedIn without building them by hand every Monday. It consolidates ad performance into creative level reports, tags creatives with AI, and turns the whole thing into something you can share with a client or a CMO in one click. It owns the reporting job outright, the part of the loop where a strategist would otherwise spend a morning exporting from 4 ad accounts and reconciling the numbers by hand. It's lighter on generation and deep creative intelligence, which is fine if reporting really is your main pain point. If you also need the tag level why behind those numbers, an intelligence layer like Segwise goes further than a dashboard tool is built to. It's the right choice when your bottleneck is the deck, not the decision underneath it. That's the 5 jobs covered, and it's worth putting them side by side before you decide what your own stack actually needs. Intelligence is Segwise, telling you which creative elements are actually driving installs or ROAS across your networks. Research is Foreplay, turning inspiration into briefs your team can build from. Testing is Marpipe, proving which element caused the lift instead of guessing. Generation is AdCreative.ai, filling the top of the funnel with a scored starting point. Reporting is Superads, turning the numbers into a deck without the manual export. If you're only adding one tool this quarter, intelligence is the layer everything else depends on. Because research, testing, generation, and reporting are all just faster ways to act on something you first had to know. Start with a tool that tells you what already worked, then add the other 4 as your gaps actually show up. Segwise runs a free trial, so plug in your ad networks and see which of your own creative elements are the ones actually earning the spend.